We're going to dive into how to think like Google, or maybe how to help Google think. It is easy to assume that Google is smart because Google is so fast. Every single day, Google finds millions and even billions of results in really less than 1 second, 1.4 billion responses. And Google does this over and over again every single day, every single second. The most recent count is almost 9,000 searches every second. And among all those searches, 16 to 20% of those searches are new every single day. So how does Google do it? How does Google find just what you're looking for? Well, to some extent, Google anticipates. Even if it's a new search, it tries to make a connection to something it's seen before, and it gives you options. So for example, if you were looking for Donald Trump, Google is going to give you a list of phrases that other people have looked for when they searched those words. And it anticipates that maybe one of these is appropriate. But Google, at the end of the day, is still a machine. And as smart as we think it is limited by machine logic. And so there are parts of the English language that confuse Google. Google is confused by synonyms, polysemantic words, and latent semantic indexing actually gives Google clues. So when Google is trying to understand what you're saying, if you can rely on these other word tricks, you can help Google identify what you're really talking about. So what do I mean by some of this? Well, synonyms. Let's take a look at synonyms. And synonyms help both Google and your readers. There are few clues in content that is stuffed with the same word over and over again. And not only are there few clues for Google, this is really boring to read. This blog post is about cars, and if you like cars, you're going to like this blog post. What this doesn't do is tell Google, is this an article about car repair, car maintenance, new cars, buying cars? All it sees is car, car, car. And so it has trouble fine-tuning the search for this page. And at the same time, human beings read it are like, are you kidding? Was this written by a six-year-old whose spelling word of the week was car? Instead, what you want to try to do is play with synonyms. They help both Google and the reader. It gives context to the article, and it makes it easier for a human being to read. The next thing that I want you to think about as you're writing your next blog post or updating is looking for synonyms. And the cool thing is that Google will help you do it. If you type in synonym car, it's going to give you all of these other words. And not only will it help with search, think about how much more interesting your blog post will be to read if you talk about my new jalopy instead of my new car. The next thing I really want to touch on is something called polysemantic words. And that may sound a little bit weird, but let me give you an example. Apple is a polysemantic word. When I talk about an apple, what comes to mind? Are you thinking about the piece of fruit, or are you thinking about the computer? How does Google know if all you type in is, where can I buy an apple? Which of these two articles to send you to? However, if the person types in Apple computer or Apple fruit, now it knows that you only want to see the searches on the left or the searches on the right. Let's look at another example. What is fall? Is it a season or an accident? Context creates the clues for search engines. So when you use the word fall, if it appears in context with season, spring, summer, then I know we're talking about autumn. But if it appears in an article and there's references to doctors and sprains and accidents, now I know that you have fallen and hurt yourself. Context creates clues. And so what you want to do is you want to look at your keywords and ask yourself, how can I make it really clear what this blog post is about? Well, that's where latent semantic indexing comes in. Latent semantic indexing is actually it's a process that's been around since the 80s, and officially Google says they don't use this algorithm, but if you use it to enhance your copy, it gives clues to Google. And so when you're trying to get to content that has been indexed, that works with this algorithm, the first thing you can do is use Google suggestions. You know, type in your keyword and look at all the other searches that are coming up and look at some of these suffixes and ask yourself, do they add context? Should I add some of these words to my article? The other thing that you can do also using Google is drop down a little further on the page and look for searches related to your key phrase. Again, you see a lot of different words that come up. And if you're ready to go up a notch, there is a product called the LSI graph. There's a free version and a paid version. The free version will only let you do 3 searches a day, but what it does do is instead of just giving you those keywords, it gives you a little bit more information. It shows you on some of these related terms how many people are searching. What are people paying to make that a keyword, and what is the trend? Is it searched more or less? If you want to play with this tool, it's lsigraph.com. Okay, that's it for now. Go off and enhance your blog post.